Well, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Ben Imes, talking about the depths of healthcare. Got a really interesting new guest today. Here, the Alfred and Alex, and we're going to be talking about prosthetics and orthotics in this kind of niche of the healthcare world. Guys, why don't you introduce yourselves and kind of give us a little bit more info about what you do?
So I'm Alfred Lehneis. I'm American board certified prosthetist and orthotist. It's a very lengthy 4-day competency exam you have to take after completing a specialization in orthotics, which in my case, I went to Northwestern, and prosthetics at New York University. I pretty much got in the field because my father immigrated here from Germany after World War II and got a very prestigious position at NYU, New York University Medical Center's Rusk Institute, which did a lot of prosthetic and orthotic research in the early 60s and 70s. He had started a small private practice, and I jumped in from there, and then give you some info from Alex.
I'm Alex. I'm Alfred's son. I think when he said 4-day, he meant 4-year.
I was going to say a 4-day. I was like, that's a crash course.
I'm a COA. I work with patients. I started by working in his lab as a kid, just helping out his guys fabricate. And then I got certified, and now I'm here seeing patients, fabricating our braces, our prosthetics, and yeah.
Very cool. Is this, and now with these different prosthetics and orthotics, are these is it one size fits all? Is it very customizable, like with these different things that you're providing?
Well, there are off-the-shelf orthotics, which are for the less extreme type of patient, one that may have a temporary disability, somebody who may have had spinal surgery and wound up with a drop foot, like some type of paraparesis in the legs, or just for rehabilitation or other nature. And primarily, we more or less specialize in custom orthotics and prosthetics, which is specific to obtaining a prescription from a specialist. Could be a physiatrist, an orthopedist. Sometimes we get referrals from a physical therapist, but they can't prescribe. So then we have to cross-refer to another specialist, usually an orthopedist or somebody that's specialized in pediatric care.
And when he says orthotics, he doesn't just mean like the thing that goes in your shoe. We're doing full orthopedic
Yeah.
bracing, like things that go from the bottom of your foot. It could go all the way up to your hips. It's not just these small little orthotics. The shoe insert type orthotics probably take up like maybe 1% of our business.
You have
Yeah.
that much. We
Yeah.
also do custom spinal bracing, off-the-shelf spinal bracing, which is for temporary spinal issues or for protection after surgery. So we do scoliosis bracing, we do postoperative spinal bracing, and as Alex said, upper and lower extremity type of custom bracing.
So you're doing like clamshells and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, a clamshell type
Yeah.
of spinal bracing. Yeah.
Okay. And
Outside
then
of that,
I'm assuming also with like prosthetics, those usually customizable, like depending on if there's an amputee or something like that? Is that what you're doing as well?
So with an amputee, we would have to evaluate them and cast them. And then we
Mhm.
would take the model and we'd make rectifications to it to enhance the fit and to relieve any pressure areas. In the past, I specialized in computer-aided design and manufacturing at one point. That goes back about 10 years. But I did that for a good 15, 20 years. And once we had a negative mold of the patient, we would digitize the inside of the model, and that would become a two-dimensional image on the computer. And then I would rectify that and then send that model to a milling machine that would make a model for us to mold over and to do a test fit. So yeah, so
You
every
Are you
prosthesis
progressing?
is custom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was assuming that, but it's helpful to understand that. Are you
Yeah.
guys doing it? Have you guys even considered like 3D printing and all these kinds of things and progressing towards that?
they keep bringing that up at all the seminars that we go to, and like we've been seeing it for years, but it just looks like so far it's just not strong enough to withstand the abuse it gets from the patients. These people are running up and down their stairs. Even moderately active ones are running up and down their stairs. They're going grocery shopping and like a 3D printer doesn't really make something strong enough yet to withstand that.
Yeah, they're working on developing graphite infused strands that the 3D printer uses. The issue with 3D printing, one is the cost for the average prosthetic and orthotic facility, but it takes so long to print a socket. So if it had to print above the knee socket, it could be overnight, depending on how good the equipment is. And other times it could be below the knee or a transtibial amputee, maybe 3.5, 4 hours. I can make more sockets in that time with my oven and my thermoplastic than sitting around waiting for the 3D printer to get one job done.
Guy, I see what
We
you're saying.
also do a lot of test sockets. So, if we have to edit something, we could just edit that original cast rather than printing a whole nother socket for them to test.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, sometimes we can just do an on-the-spot adjustment to what is a PETG socket, which is a very clear material. And as the
Hmm.
patient walks on, because I'll have a pressure area here, you can go point to where it might be, and then we can heat it up a little bit in the lab and just massage it out and tighten things up a little bit. And therefore, we can get everything done in one step.
So watch this space in a sense, like it could progress, but as of right now, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, not yet. I
Oh,
mean, ultimately, like when I got into CAD, my investment was like $150,000, and that was 25 years ago, and the
Wow.
cost now is way higher. Plus
Yeah,
the scanners, like you can use a simple scanner off your iPad, or you can get a handheld scanner, and they get quite expensive. So you have to have, I guess, if you have enough volume, offset the cost, so to speak.
sure, sure.
I mean, 3D printing has worked with things like knee braces. We've seen some of that coming through, and they're a lot lighter, and that's cool. But as far as prosthetics goes, I don't think it's there yet.
Yeah, and it's got to be a durability thing, like you were saying. I'd rather have something that I know I can trust that can last for years and not gonna the potential for breaking down on me as I'm just doing my activities of daily living.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
very true.
there's a lot of
Yeah,
cool new stuff coming out. It's just that either A, the insurance companies don't pay for it, or B, it costs us too much money to use that technology
mm.
to,
Break even.
yeah, break even.
Yeah. You have
I
no
mean,
margin.
exactly. So, because we've seen stuff where you can just heat up this piece of carbon fiber, pull it onto the socket, and now or the cast, and now you have the socket, and it's like a 1, 2, 3 thing. We're like, oh, that's great. How much does that cost? And they're like, oh, $1,200, and we're like, nope.
We can do it cheaper in house. It's just cost versus overhead and how much time you can spend on one particular thing or many things. So we're
Totally.
always doing, we don't work on one job at a time. We mash everything together in a day, and we work a little bit on one, a little bit on prosthetics, and then still see patients in between in our exam room.
Yeah. I was
It's
that's actually what my next question was leading towards. I was like, it sounds like you guys are still very, very hands on in the production process. And I was like, but how do you have time to also see patients to evaluate?
So I typically set up, we have a proprietary software program that's designed for prosthetics and orthotics in particular. And there's a scheduler in there, and we can set the scheduler up to show where we're going to be for the day. So if there's a clinic on a Thursday in the morning, that's put into the scheduler. I can put in, let's say, a Tuesday morning, a Wednesday afternoon, a Thursday morning to see patients in the office.
But that also sets us apart quite a bit from our competitors, where, you have a few people doing all separate things. Whereas, the two of us, it's like, I know my patient, I know what's going on with their insurance. I casted my patient. Now I'm bringing my patient's cast to the back. I'm fabricating my patient's stuff. I'm going to be the one that goes back to watch them walk with that prosthetic or orthotic, so it's not in the hands of multiple different people who, they never, fab tech never saw that patient,
Yeah.
has no history with that
Yeah.
patient, doesn't know all the little nuanced modifications that are going to have to go into that person's very specific custom brace.
And would you say that that is very unique to your practice? Like how you guys are pretty much very linear in how you take care of your patients versus others who are kind of breaking up the
Yeah,
tasks and dealing?
a lot of the larger facilities, they have a staff of technicians. They could have 2, they could have 10. And then depending on how many practitioners, the practitioner just drops the cast off in the paperwork and they go on to see the next patient. And so there's not a lot of transparency between the practitioner and the technician as far as what we need. So everything that might come out of the lab may look very cookie cutter versus different for each different patient.
Yeah, and even with fabrication, with the larger companies, for example, you have one guy who's pouring the casts, one guy who's modifying the cast, the next guy is pulling the plastic, the next guy is cutting this thing out, and it's going through so many hands that by the end, is it this person's custom thing anymore?
Yeah,
Probably
Right.
not,
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, so obviously this has been a business and you guys have been in business for a long, long time. So
yes.
it's continuing to show that it's progressing. I mean, what have been kind of the business side of things, like the ups and downs, the navigating of, insurance or, navigating, cash pay if that's an option for people? I mean, how do you kind of work things out and what are the biggest lessons that you guys have learned in your ownership?
Well, in my former practice, we had 10 locations and we had exclusive contracts. When the any willing provider laws came along, our contract, that pie, got divvied up between other providers that are willing to accept the fee schedule. So while we made the financial commitment to opening up multiple offices and we had a lot of volume, in the end, it shrunk because of the pie getting divvied up. So it's not an overly competitive business, but it's more like who do you know and where do you get your referrals from? So I rather burst at the seams before I go build another office versus making sure that we're lean enough to survive.
it's very hard because we have to rely on doctors to write referrals, not patients to be like, oh, these guys are the people I want to be seeing. I'm going to just go to them. They have to go to their doctor, be like, hey, I need this thing, or the doctor evaluates them for this thing. And then the doctor's like, this is my guy. And this is who I send my people to,
That does happen.
you
Yes.
know? So we, it's more like just us having to make friends with doctors
Yeah.
Yeah.
than it is.
How do you guys kind of massage that network and kind of work that?
Well, some of the places where we do clinics, we build a relationship with the entire staff there and the physicians in charge. Then there are the other cases where if I see a patient, I might send them to a specialist that I know and can trust for that particular type of prescription.
Nice.
And then there's other like random referrals from orthopedic pediatric specialists. And, then we just try to communicate with the office, send them a brochure. We have brochures for different aspects of the practice, some business cards. We give them our insurance list and so on. And that's pretty much a slow process, but it works.
I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was curious if you guys run like whole marketing campaigns just to the ortho and pediatric surgeons around your areas.
We've tried to do that.
Yeah, it's very difficult because like they're set up in a way to just block any sort of marketing coming in there, you know?
Yeah, the front staff is
Like
really
they are
doctors
trained,
busy.
yeah, to not let new people in. So it is hard, like it is competitive in that way. Getting your foot in the door anywhere that's medical is extremely hard.
But then once you get in with one, then usually it's word of mouth and you spread like fire.
Yeah, if the office
Yes.
staff is happy with you, and they're the ones that are fronting the calls with the patients. So if the office staff is happy, then they'll tell the doctor these guys did a really great job. They turned the work around quickly, and it's high quality work, and so on and so forth. So we've been doing a lot of pediatric work for many, many, many moons. So We have a good reputation when it comes to that. With prosthetics, I fitted the first out-of-box microprocessor knee, a C-leg, in the Eastern Seaboard back in 2001. And we had the patient going up and down stairs, and people were just amazed, and at that time, there was no reimbursement for that type of knee. There's so many new microprocessor knees out there now, but they're so expensive. A lot of insurance companies now question you how you arrived at the fact that they need to have a microprocessor knee. And that's really
Hmm.
more for above the knee amputees, if you know what I'm saying. So
Right.
there's a lot of competition
Yeah.
there now.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Where do you see the different innovations kind of in growth, like coming down the pipeline, whether it be specifically with the hardware that you're using or with, kind of the business projections?
I think the business trajectory is pretty much the same. It's as you start to use new technology and you get comfortable with it, you can introduce it to your patient clientele. A lot of innovation is coming from overseas, believe it or not. A lot of the microprocessor needs. Ozer is in Iceland, and they fabricate all the carbon fiber, what was known as FlexFoot.
Okay.
They took over FlexFoot and changed the name to Ozer. But that's all done in Iceland. Germany, they're on top of the game. They made the first out-of-box C-leg and a lot of pretty decent feet. They also have a carbon fiber line of feet that they
Okay.
own. But I think those are all made in Salt Lake City, I believe. So there's very little manufacturing of high-end prosthetic componentry being developed in the States. It's more overseas, which is pretty interesting. People do have a tendency to develop their own thing and try to bring it to market, and they'll approach a manufacturer and they'll see if they can, bring it online somehow.
I think healthcare
Yeah.
overseas, like Europe and things like that, they're getting approvals for these types of things way easier than we are here. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you have that struggle where it's like, yeah, these things are available. It's just, the insurance companies aren't going to pay for it.
Yeah.
So,
Or they'll pay
peop
for it in 5 years once they run it through whatever tests or just sit on the certification for a
Yeah,
while.
correct.
Yeah. Kind of how it rolls. What do you guys feel like? I mean, you've been in this business for a long, long time. I mean, what do you see? How do you see this progressing just from a business standpoint? I mean, of
Well,
growth projections or anything like that?
I think orthopedically for bracing, you might see some research in tran subcutaneous implants to
No
stimulate the
way.
muscles to help you walk. I mean, there's
Wow.
exoskeletal devices now that are microprocessor that can help paraplegic ambulate, but it's a huge, heavy thing, something you can imagine in a movie, something crazy.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
that. And in prosthetics, there's osseointegration, which is where they put a rod in your bone and it has a connecting coupler to go to the prosthetic componentry. So you're not wearing a prosthetic socket anymore. So that's already here. They're doing a lot of that at the hospital for special surgery. So
And that's
osseointegrations,
like approved by insurance, like that kind of device.
the surgical part of it would be approved by insurance. That's something that we don't provide. The surgeon would do that at the time of amputation, and then the patient would be sent to us to at least fit the prosthetic components and align them.
Right. Right. That makes
But
sense.
this stuff coming in small leaps and bounds. The problem is that the percentage of amputees to healthcare and the percentage of pediatric children to healthcare and everything is so fragmented. Pretty much orthotic and prosthetics is, I believe, 2 to 4% of the entire Medicare expenditure. It's not a lot. So,
It's not much to work with.
oh no,
and then you have them, all the like replacement plans are, what, taking 30% off,
yeah,
like to meet their fee schedules. Yeah. So
yeah.
they have us by the throat just as far as like
The,
what we can get reimbursed
the
for.
contracting is almost like take it or leave it. So they'll use Medicare as a standard, their fee schedule, and they go, okay, if you want the contract, it's going to be 10% below, 20%, 30%. And at the point when you're getting to 20 and 30%, you're really getting into your profit margins,
Yeah.
So it's a matter of survival then.
And then you have companies that only will work with very few um, other companies like Integra, for
Mhm.
example. So we have to go through this company
It's a
Integra
third party. Yeah.
who has all the contracts and they're taking a percentage as well. So like there are times where we're hitting 45% off of like
Yeah.
the rate. So
Crazy.
and you're trying to push out like a good quality product. You're trying to say yes to everyone, but we're just getting killed on the price.
Mm.
Yeah. So I got to
And
keep it lean. The reason why we try not to overexpand this practice.
right.
Like I said,
Right.
I had 30 employees in my prior practice, and we sold that, and it's just he and I, just keep it
Yeah.
simple.
Well, you got to keep it lean. I mean, you guys got to. I mean, you got to think about how can we make the margins appropriate. I mean, is there light at the end of the tunnel, or do you guys have like, or do you guys see it just getting slimmer and slimmer from that standpoint?
I think we're still going to get the same level of referrals that we've had for a long time, unless something really spectacular happened in the industry where things were automated and people are wowed by that. Like, oh, I can have my leg image today and I'll be walking this afternoon.
I mean,
You
people
know,
went to DC to try and, Medicaid has to raise the cost for the cost of living price. So hopefully, and hopefully the HMO contracts will, follow suit and we won't get cut as
yeah,
bad.
like a cola.
But we're already getting, the all of our suppliers saying like, hey, we're going up by 3% this year.
Yeah,
We're increasing by this much or that much. When the tariffs first hit, we were talking to other companies because they were like, hey, so with the tariffs, you're looking at this much now for the off the shelf braces.
right.
And we were like, God, no. So we had to find someone who wasn't going to upcharge us for that. That was rough. So,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good spot as far as things have leveled out with that. But when it
Yeah.
first hit, it was like, we have no idea how much all this is going to go up.
Still,
Yeah. It was a little uncharted. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, you guys specifically fill this niche that's very unique and you're helping your patients. Like, that's not the question here. Like, the people are very satisfied, but the satisfaction can only go so far as to like getting more referrals or getting the reimbursements increased. I mean,
yeah.
that's not what the government sees. They don't see that. They just see like numbers, right?
That's
They
the
don't care
biggest
about
problem.
how the people actually do.
The New York State Medicaid fee schedule is set at 1987 schedule. Hasn't increased since. So they're trying to get a bill passed up in Albany to adjust all the fees, and that the HMOs have to reimburse us at the set price, no discounting, because that's
Right,
price cap.
right.
So will it fly? I don't know. We see.
Wait, so that hasn't been updated in almost 40 years?
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, but the price of all of our stuff has definitely gone up in 40 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So anything from like a strap on a brace to like, the carbon fiber we're using to make the prosthetics, it's all gone up like
Yeah.
astronomical.
Yeah. So we need parity in New York State to get things leveled off, so to speak.
Yeah. What do you have hope? I mean, if you could change, I mean, you've mentioned a couple different things like what you could change, but how are you guys staying kind of, flexible and mobile to kind of shift your practice around and make sure you're still making margin?
I think, a lot of it is just spending a little bit more time on the computer with the manufacturers' sites where we order our componentry from and comparing prices. And then also see if we can get volume discounts instead of
Yeah,
just
bulk.
buying a piece at a time. But you're still spending your cash to keep some inventory around and keep flowing. I don't want to place orders every day.
Yeah.
You know,
You said mobile. Mobile is exactly that. At least I am driving all over the place to see patients, even at
Mm,
their homes. So like they'll come to the clinic, they need this, it's not available at the time, or they need something like a certain size or whatever. I'm at their house casting them or at their house delivering this thing. Like anything that we could do to just make those things move along. And I think it's helpful for a lot of them anyway, because a lot of them have a disability, they don't have easy
yeah.
access to, getting to the clinic, like that's just a big deal on itself, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of coordination already to try and when they're already possibly immobile completely, and they have to ask for help or get the rides.
Yeah, and it does take time away from your practice too. So for every one patient you're doing a home visit on, you're spending like 3 times,
Yeah.
4 times the amount of time.
And that's just where our
Right.
industry is at right now because, like, could you imagine, like, your physician, like, coming to your house to, like, checking you up for your cold? Like,
It's not happening.
that's not happening. But, like, the orthotic and prosthetic guys, they'll do it.
Yeah, but and that's the other side of things. You can't utilize really telehealth or telemedicine in any way and say, "Okay, I just sent this to your house. It should get there in a week through the mail or like through UPS or something. Here, we'll set up a consult via video as you try and figure it out on your own."
Yeah, that'd be crazy. And even with adjustments, like, if I have to drive 30, 40 minutes to a patient's house, I don't have all of our tools with me to do these adjustments.
Mm,
So sometimes we have to bring it back to the lab, adjust all of it, and bring it back to their house or back to that clinic. We do that with the pediatric kids quite a bit and with their
mhm.
school.
Yeah, they have
Yeah,
a small
man.
they get off the bus at 4:15 at home. They can't don't the parents don't even have time to bring them into the office.
I mean, that makes sense.
It's tough.
You're just trying to stay flexible, just trying to help people. You guys are doing a lot of good trying to help the people, but you
Trying
guys
our
are getting
best.
squeezed by the powers that be.
Exactly. You got that right.
Yep. Yep. That's what the listeners are hearing, I'm sure. Like that's what we're gonna make the point of.
And that's a big thing for us too is, we're really meticulous about the work here and making like the best thing we can make for each person. And when, you know, if you have too much work coming in or if you're, overwhelmed with stuff, things don't come out as well as they should be coming out, you know?
Mhm.
Like every
Yeah.
single one of those braces comes out perfect. I have it's like an OCD at this point. Like
Yeah.
this thing has to be mint. To the prosthetics, like we put a lot of pride and effort into each one of those. So it being just the two of us makes sure that level of just QC is
Yes.
good.
Yep. Yep. Well, I hope people can hear that. I think, it'll be exciting to kind of watch this space honestly and see if things can like turn a corner, to be honest. Like that's what it sounds like is you guys are kind of hoping for and asking
Yes.
for from the powers that be.
Yeah.
If there's like some wisdom or some kind of thoughts you can share with kind of my listeners as we kind of close out, what are some kind of maybe just influential things that have, inspired you guys in your business and things that give you kind of hope getting up every day?
Both of us really enjoy working with patients and seeing the gratitude that we get from
Right.
helping kids walk again, having somebody with a prosthetic limb walk again or get back to whatever they're doing. I think the most important thing is, there are guys that go around and they work out of the car 24/7 and they're not even certified. They're just getting the work somehow. And my big thing to most patients is educate yourself and make sure that you're going to ABC or BOC certified practitioner and make sure they have the qualifications and have basically a storefront or an office space like we have where they can go to in an emergency, not have to call and say, I'll see you next week. I won't be in your area till then, you know? So there are
Yeah,
people like that as well.
sure.
Definitely do your research on who's, reputable,
Who's in
I
your
think.
area? Yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Yeah, not the Instagram,
No,
but yeah, excited to watch this space. I'm really hopeful for you guys, cheering for you guys from over here. If you're in New York State, for all the listeners, maybe get some and some other surgeons that might benefit from
yeah.
knowing these guys. Maybe get them connected. But
Yeah.
yeah, good to
Great.
connect with you guys today. Thanks for your time. Appreciate you
Thank
guys.
you
Thanks
so
for your time,
much.
Ben. Appreciate it.
We'll catch you later.
Take
All
care.
right.